leave the family, or they try to, for example, some of the character really punish the family of Faisal, and yeah, I think they really want to live their own life. Do you think it is a choice very popular among your peers when they are facing that situation?
Generally, from what I've seen, at least from the people that I know, they usually are still very close to their families. But there are some people who do they do leave, and even though they leave, they still try to keep in touch with their families. They still try to, even though they're not close, they still meet up once in a while or things like that. But for this case, I think we kind of leave for an open-ended. In this movie, we only show two families mainly, and we show some negative traits, but there's also a lot of positive things. We are not really able to show everything since it's small, but
So yeah, you choose maybe in the story you choose some of the more dark side of the family situation faced by the leaders. Actually, before the screening, I mentioned one word that I really feel after watching the film, that is difficulty. I think the character themselves, and I can see during the production there must be many difficulties. And I think the reason that you choose to make this film a silent and animated movie is due to the difficulties that you face.
yeah.
Right. I see one actor, one actor have to act two characters, right? For example, son and father, they are the same actor. Maybe there are some representation and reasons behind it. Maybe you can share later. And for doctor and the employer, they are also, I'm not sure if my observation is correct, but yeah, I think, can you share more, how is the process of you making the whole film? Because I think, I don't know, maybe it requires green screen and animation later, and maybe, yeah, some overlay animation. But I'm totally an idiot of this kind of technique, so yeah, really want to know more how you from scratch, how you actually find so many actors to do it.
Yeah, the good thing with filming like this is that you only need the actor to, if they're playing a small role, they might only have to go for like 1 or 2 days, and you can finish all your scenes. And also the locations, even though you could find some good locations when you're filming like it's very difficult to gather like more than 1 or 2 people at the same time. So because of that, even though we got a really good story and we got like good actors, sometimes people don't show up or they show up very late, and because of that we couldn't really film. So instead, to get around that, we decided to just forget about all the locations, forget about the timing and scheduling. We'll shoot everyone separately, and then we can put it together in post. And also for this, we didn't use green screen. We film and like just outdoors mostly, and we used a software called OneScreen. It automatically removes the background.
Yeah.
So that's how we were able to do it. I think we started this movie last year. Right now there's more better softwares out there. The time that I was able to do it, I only had this software. And also the reason why it's silent is it's not exactly a aesthetic choice. Even though I decided to try to make it into an aesthetic choice, it's because sound is always a very difficult thing for any filmmakers to get right. Even though they got good sound equipment, it's very difficult to like mix the sound together and things like that. And so I decided, films are visual mediums. Why not just make it sound? So,
So, how long is the entire process from being series to finish? Because it's really like I think it's more than 1 hour, 70 minutes of film. And recently I learned to make some film, and I just learned that even though making a 2-minute clips may require 2 days almost of production. So I just wonder for this, like long films, like such a thing, how long does it take, like including
for this movie, it took, overall it took 1 year. There were some delays in the middle, but the filming took 3 months. Before that, the script, I think it took 3 months. Because I was thinking about the story for a long time, so it's like went through a lot of changes. But afterwards, I was struggling to like put it together in the editing, and I was trying to gather a crew for the post production, and because of that, it got a little delayed, and also the music got delayed because we changed the music composer like 3 times. So the first person that I picked was he was very good, but he took a lot of time for the music. So I still use the music, like the theme music and everything. Like I still wanted to work with it, but unfortunately, it's like this timing was not exactly not good. And then afterwards, I contacted a person volunteering in the US, and I wanted to work with him, but he also couldn't keep up with timing, unfortunately. I also wanted to release the film in a specific time, so it's like got delayed. So I had to change a new composer, and it was my friend. He composed for my first film as well. Yeah, we got it done afterwards.
So this is the third film that
Yeah, so there was a documentary value, so it's like
So in the three like production, I bet the similarity is maybe quite the same, like unable to find character, actor, and sound problem, and schedule problem. So for this time, you choose to use animation and silence it to solve the problem. What were your like solutions for previous production?
the previous production. The documentary is a little separate because it's like that was a complete different for the narrative film. What happened was that the sound was a problem. Like, I had to dub the whole movie, and the dubbing was not really that good. So because of that, it was very difficult to like for the people to be in the story. Right? So it's like even though the people acted very well, because we did the dubbing and it wasn't that good, people couldn't connect with the story. And for that, another thing was, I think it also took a long time. Like we were trying to submit to film festivals, but we didn't get selected. So we just released on YouTube. And for this movie is also on YouTube actually, right? So it's a little longer, but it's not maybe. But it's like there are some. For this version, I removed some scenes and shortened some scenes because there were some lines that I didn't like, so I changed it. You can check out the version on YouTube as well.
Why you choose waterfront as the title name? And I was going to give a because I saw this movie is completely different.
Yep.
I think the movie is, I can see you try to express that you guys are want to free from some conflict like the marriage, the employment, and you're tracing your own dreams. So in Chinese tradition, we have something like when you're 30, you have to build up some careers. So in your culture, you have also faced the similar problems, or even the time is much earlier, like you have to be successful, like in 20 something. Oh, yeah, the first question is why your movie title is called Waterfront. Is there any meaning for you?
Because I really like the place in West County. It's called like Waterfront Promenade. Yeah. And also the movie deals with a lot of water, so I wanted to incorporate that into the movie. And I feel like waterfront represents the whole movie. That's why. And what else did you ask?
Oh no, it's just from your cultural background. Do you also have some norms like you have to be successful within certain ages?
Yeah, I would say not exactly about success, but there are certain things that you have to do, otherwise your family might look down on you. And even though your relatives are like kind of cool with it, there's a lot of pressure from the family because it's like a collective society. You always have to look good in front of others. So because of that, let's say you finish your bachelor's degree at 21, and you gotta find a full-time job, and you gotta earn a lot, save up money, buy a house, and then you get married by 26, and you have to have a good married life. And I mean, some people do get married later on as well. Like you gotta be a relatively well settled person, otherwise people will look. So the pressure is kind of always there.
Is there any problem if you marry in a foreign? Because I saw the movie, I thought the main character, the girl is Asian, but not from your country.
Yeah.
So do you have problems?
Technically, in our religion, what they say is that there's no problem marrying a foreigner. They just have to convert. But of course, not everyone follows that. So if the parents are open-minded, I think they usually wouldn't mind. But most parents are more religious and more conservative, so they do mind that. So yeah.
I have two questions. The first one is I can feel that not all the lines are written as subtitles, right? Because it seems that some lines are presented, written, but then some are not. So is that an intentional choice? Yeah. So what's the reason behind that? And the second one is more about the cultural background, because like for the singer role, the reason why his family doesn't like me to play the music because it is because of the religion, but I really don't know this part. So could you explain more about this? Thank you.
Yeah. For the first question, sorry, what was the first?
The subtitles.
Some of the lines are not
Yeah.
subtitled.
Yeah.
Is that intentional or?
Yeah, it is intentional actually because I wanted to try and make it as visual as possible, like use less subtitles so that people can get the story visually. That is the reason I try to avoid the subtitles as much as I can, or make it very short, so that people can see the visuals more. And also the so
Singing.
Yeah. Why is not allowed
It's very similar.
music in no religion?
there's a lot of different theories about it. Some people are okay with it, some people are not. But it also depends a lot on the circle of your family sometimes. Like, if the family is very conservative and they're in a very conservative circle, they don't allow the children to do that either. And they would like force the music on them. Even though those parents themselves, they don't agree with it, they're like, they force on the child because their friends are like that as well. They try to follow their friends' beliefs. So that's why it's like that.
I think in some lines, the girl with the glasses mentioned that playing music is against her religion and family's religion. So she say that her parents mentioned that playing music is like disrespect to religion. It's what's the guy? Sorry, but is there such like context for disrespect? Like why people would conceive playing music is something against their own religion?
Generally, going to the entertainment industry is not looked at in a good way. So because of that, even though there are like, Muslim singers and musicians, but there's also different branches of Islam. So like some of them they are okay with it, and some of them they're not. But the ones that are not okay with it, they really don't like their child to go to it because it's generally they don't. It's generally looked at like it's going outside the religion's the circle. That like there's a lot of rules in the religion, right? And some things are like you only have to worship God. You shouldn't like look too much into other things. You shouldn't go too into entertainment or like things that are against the religion because there's a lot of songs that are like it's kind of against the religion. They promote some things that are like sinful. So because of that, they generally don't like the kids to go to that, like, because it might be sinful. So that's to
Also about music against the religion, and it's about entertainment against the religion.
yeah.
If they play what they play traditional music, it's better for language.
Yeah.
Thank you for your movie. It's very interesting. But the first question I got it's also about music because it's my first time to know that some Muslims may not be very supportive of the children pursuing the music industry and the entertainment industry. The first question is whether you got a lot of friends or a lot of people you know whose family are not supportive of their children doing music.
Actually, I know quite a number of people that it's not necessarily music, but generally in the like, films, entertainment, and the arts, they usually don't support it because of the like what people will say about them, and also they think it's against their religion. So it's not just music, and that's.
So it's really quite a number of people that you know whose family is not very supportive of their interest in this aspect.
Yeah. Unless the family is open-minded, then they usually support. But if the family is more conservative and they're more religious, then they don't support it.
Thank you. The second question is about family because in this movie, a lot of the focus is on the family relationship. And I want to know what's your personal story of your family? Like, has your family, is your family conservative? Does your family have any opinion about you pursuing the direction of making a movie? Is your family supportive of it? What's your impact of your family on you, on your life? I would like to know a little bit more about your story of your family.
For my family, they're a little more moderate. They're not super religious, but they're also not that open-minded. It's like in the middle. And for movies, they say I can make movies, but they don't exactly support it as a full-on career. So I still do make movies. So yeah, that's just how it is.
I got a last question because in the film there's a line that that sticks to my mind. It's about living a fake life because in the movie the protagonist does not want to live a fake life, and that's why he decided, for example, not to pretend to be in love with that girl. How about you? What life do you want to have in Hong Kong, or what do you want to do in Hong Kong? What kind of a real life that you want to have?
That's a difficult question. I'm not sure if I can answer it, but I would say for not just me but anyone in general, I think it's best to be genuine. Right? You shouldn't like live strictly for other people's views, and you shouldn't let people to control or dictate what you do with your life. As long as you're not doing some crimes or something like unethical, then aside from that, you should not be always concerned about what other people think, because everyone has different opinions and you cannot please everyone, and because of that you should just try to be yourself and be genuine. I think that's what I try my best to follow, and I think others should follow it as well, and they'll all be more happy. Even for families, if everyone is more genuine, then I think everyone can be more happy as well.
Thanks for the message. Thank you.
Students that need it.
I want to comment on the song written by the singer. I like the lines and the metaphor of King and Becca to represent the father and son relationship really helps me to learn about the family structure of Muslim families. So can you introduce more, is it really that kind of feeling happens among you or and your peers, the authority of the father is really has the impact on the kids and make them really like breathless living in the family.
I want to point out, actually, not all Muslim families are like this, but you can see this type of scenario in many different religions as well. So there are quite a lot of more traditional, conservative Indian families or even Asian families that are like this, and they're very helicopter parents towards their children, and that kind of structure I see more often in my circle, Indian parents. So because of that, I wanted to show it, and also the scenario I've seen it in several of my friends as well, like the and from the same background as me, same relatives as me as well. Like some people have seen this.
So I remember one of the audience mentioned living a fake life. So I actually had some thoughts. I think to live a so-called not fake life actually requires some support and some basic requirements. So for example, one of the protagonists he has to lead a fake life with another girl because he doesn't want to have a pre-arranged marriage from his parents, and because he is poor, so he has to do graphic design freelance rather than like something real design he want to pursue. So I remember last time when we talked, you mentioned you like Tarkovsky's film. So if you have more resource, like just imagine what kind of movies or film you actually want to make. Just
Actually, this is a film that I want to do. but of course, afterwards, I do want to make more of the silent films with no dialogues, and also a couple of films that are historical epics. I'm really interested in that as well. So hopefully in the future I can make some films like Lords of Arabia, Lord of the Rings, and also
Yeah, sorry, you can just carry on first before I start our comments. Sorry.
yeah, those are the types of films that I want to make. And you mentioned something else.
to live a life that is not fake, it requires some certain kind of material support and capabilities and some basic requirements to live.
Actually, in the film, this scenario that's shown is actually fully fictional. Those kinds of things don't happen in real life.
You mean pre-arranged
No,
marriage?
like he asked the girl to pretend that those kinds of things don't happen in real life. It's just for the movie that I did. So yeah, I do agree. You gotta have some resources if you want to live a fully real life. I mean, like the life that you want to live. Premiere Pro.
This is the animation field.
Yeah, the animation filter is I use the trestle and the opacity is in soft light and there's a tree. And I actually made a tutorial. So yeah, just visuals. That's a YouTube channel.
Someone asked about the you have some assistant directors such as model processing, imagination, and her father this kind of
You got the story for 1 year? Yeah. Well, yeah. No, because it got delayed a lot of time.
Actually,
Or is it
from
normal?
this
Is
video,
it for
I
long
have
or is
deep
normal?
feeling about
For-
gaslighting
for 1
from
year is normal.
conservative or
It was
traditional families.
kind of normal.
Under these families, we are very difficult to do anything we want to do, or even we cannot have self-decision in our freedom. Hopefully, you will both be could make us more concerned about gaslighting. Gaslighting is about emotional control in psychological terms. Yeah, thank you.
情緒勒索。
係。
So anything you want to say from the peers?
And also, one person acted in the film, the one holding the phone camera.
Guys.
Sachin, he also helped me with the film, with the assistant directing.
Yeah. Thanks. From
Why did you use the music? The music also helps in moving the movie forward, right? Why did you use these instruments? Like it's piano mostly and guitar, right? So does this have any meaning to why this is one of these two instruments, the entire background stuff?
For the music, I got inspired by more of the electronic type of music, the one that you would have seen in movies like Drive. I really like that kind of music, like the really retro type, because the style that we go for is also very retro and like sort of VHS effects. It kind of went well with that kind of thing, I thought. So that's why the music is also like that. And I really like that kind of music as well. So that's why I wanted to use it in the movie. And I also really like slow and reverb. So with that, and I thought that helped with the movie as well.
I wanted to ask one question. Congratulations on the movie. So you were filming like during the pandemic, right? I guess.
Yeah, last year.
So were there any incidents where you were like having problems with like gathering bands, you know, like things like that, like more than 4 people or more than like, or whatever rule there was, you know?
Yeah,
Like-
actually, even though the rules were not there, 4 people will not come.
Oh, yeah.
In my productions, it's very difficult to schedule people. So I always try to avoid it. It's like I don't like scheduling at all. So because of that, every scene I try to only have like 2 people within the scene, or even if there's more, I film separately and then stitch them together. So yeah, that's how it goes in the movie. And we did not exactly have problems due to the pandemic for filming.
Oh, and I was wondering as well, because there are a lot of scenes in like Langkwai and stuff. I was trying to figure out which bar you guys were in. Is it Aftermath?
We
Was
put
it-
a
is it like-
picture of Aftermath.
It's a student.
Oh, it's distilled, so you didn't shoot inside any of them. Did you guys actually drink when you were drinking, or the?
Any more questions and like feedback you want to?
I think that there's a many challenge for young people in Hong Kong at the moment, and it's great to see with one. You can find your own passions in your career and life developments, and you also keep pursuing what you like to do. I found that you inspire so many young people in the community, no matter they are Chinese and non-Chinese, to explore their career pathway. Thank you very much.
Any more?
Can Response share with us your favorite director or favorite films? Because I find that it's very interesting that you're so focused on doing silent films. And actually, when I was watching, your film also reminded me some kind of like the Chinese film in the early era, like those played by Li Yun, the silent films. So I would like to know about your favorite directors or films.
I gotta admit, I haven't watched a lot of silent films. But yeah, we mostly film because of the limitations. But my favorite director, it's very difficult to say, but I really like Tarkovsky. And I also really like Stanley Kubrick quite a lot. And more modern directors, I guess Sam Raimi. I really like Spider-Man, the trilogy. And I also really like movies like The Godfather. So, because that movie is also kind of dealing with some family relations, and so I wouldn't say I got inspired through that. It's one of my like really top favorite films.
Okay.
Any more feedbacks and questions? This time is yeah. So if no, maybe yeah. Once again, thank you, Rizwan, for your I see it's really a not easy task to complete like feature film, especially as I was in Hong Kong during pandemic and limited resources as an independent filmmaker with pressures. We not know, yeah, your family is not that conservative at all. Yeah, so yeah, I guess yeah, that's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Rizwan. And are you in? Thank you so much. Thank you all you for coming. And we look forward to Rizwan and also other young people in Hong Kong, no matter you are ethnic minority or Chinese, to produce more image movies to tell your own story. I think it's very important. Especially now, having a screening like this is not easy at all. Yeah, not only for pandemic, but also for the in this society now, screening is not easy. So we treasure a lot to have this screening and from screening talk with all of you. And of course, Rizwan could not represent all Indian people living in Hong Kong or could not represent all young people. But I can always find some interesting point to think about the situation actually they are having in Hong Kong, especially about employment, about family relationship, about arranged marriage, and about dreams. All it's like recurring topics in Rizwan's production, and I sincerely hope that you can carry on with the production. And if you have another new movie, please come to Book Punch. Yeah, and we will arrange another screening. And also thank you your friends coming and also the actors as well. And please support young people production. That's all for today. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can feel free to chat or